You dare steal in my presence? That will cost you your life! Can game critics promote AAA games? Recently, I've watched a Not Malcolm video where he criticized Legendary Drops for promoting a Chinese game called Blood Message. This game is developed, it is published by NetEase. Due to its huge size and past mistakes and behaviors on the gaming industry, NetEase is a company that can objectively be called one of the evil companies, one of the big evil ones in the gaming industry. And Not Malcolm criticized Legendary Drops because Legendary Drops has been critical and voicing his opinion about big predatory companies in the gaming industry that have practices that are somewhat what also NetEase does, but he was promoting the game and we don't even have gameplay footage or anything, we just have the trailers for Blood Message. Not Malcolm also points out past comments of Legendary Drops where he talks about journalists being sellouts or actually being tame in what they say about a game because they want to have access journalism and other quotes like that. Malcolm claims that gaming YouTubers should not create dedicated ads, full whole sponsored videos talking about a game, especially if they are critics, because this creates a conflict of interest between them and their audience. I mean, especially when you have your foundation of your YouTube channel as speaking the truth about the gaming industry. While I think this is a very interesting video and I really don't think this is like internet drama, I believe there are some valid criticism with Not Malcolm's video. I also don't think that Legendary Drops is like a sellout, but maybe he had a little bit of clouding in his judgment when accepting this. Personally, I don't have a race in this horse, but I think this is a very interesting subject and it sparked a question in my mind. And this question is, when are game critics actually allowed to be paid to talk about a game, to promote a game, to go do a paid visit and you know, make a video about that on his channel or other types of social media interactions that they can do? When are we as critics supposed to be satisfied enough with a game that we can accept their sponsors? When are developer changes good enough to be considered now something more positive than negative? When is it valid to promote good changes that we wanted so long to happen? We as game critics usually keep demanding a game gets better, and not even down to the game critics. A lot of fans do and have protests and outcries not only on the internet sometimes about wanting a game to go a certain direction because they love that game, they think there's a lot of potential, so they want it to get better, you know. So one of the top questions in my mind is, if we are criticizing something and we wanted that thing to get better, when is it enough that we can actually stop and say, hey guys, it actually got better, and hey guys, they paid me to talk about it, but I am being honest. Obviously it's a very thin and difficult line, and the answer to this might be very nuanced or even impossible to answer, right? Also, I'm not saying that Blood Message will be good or bad. I'm actually excited to see what that game promises. There's a lot of new cool Chinese games coming out and I'm really excited to see everything. But we don't have gameplay trailers of the game, so it's very hard to assume anything right now. The trailers do look beautiful and the story looks interesting, but there's no solid ground to say that would be a good or bad game yet. I'm also not in a position here to say that Legendary Drops promotion of that game was not ethical at all. To me, it feels like it's not hypocritical, but also, as I said, Not Malcolm has some good arguments in his video, and I believe each of us has to actually come to a conclusion on this subject. But what if, for example, Creative Assembly makes an extraordinary Total War that is finally appealing to all the fans and doing all the things we asked for? What if, like, Tailwords actually makes, you know, Bannerlord a game so great, does all the stuff that we feel they promise, do everything that we feel is missing on the game, you know? When some fan of No Man's Sky can now actually promote the game? You know, when does a game do something, you know, that maybe they were considered bad or that company was considered bad? When is it enough that we can actually promote it and be honest about it, you know? In my understanding, what Not Malcolm is saying is that we as game critics can never actually take in good faith sponsors of games, especially when they are in the category we almost criticize most of the time, because that represents a conflict of interest. But then should I take sponsor from companies that and products outside my knowledge? Like, I am a critic of games, I consume a lot of games, I buy a lot of games, I like to test them, I like to get to know more different games and genres. I feel like I know a lot about games to actually promote good games to my audience. So if I choose to do so, isn't it better than if I choose to promote a product like a financing app or something that I'm not really that knowledgeable about, and I might even be promoting a scam? Obviously, we can do our research before promoting stuff, but is not the research for promoting a game on a channel that is a critic about games a good research? Obviously, it's also down to that person or individual or company can lie about that promotion, but in this exercise thought that I am doing, I am trying to, you know, go the route that what if the person is being honest about it? Because if the person is lying, obviously they will try to do every scam and greedy thing they want to do. But I want to look at this perspective from the perspective of someone who honestly wants to give his opinion about a game. Can that person actually be sponsored by a game when he likes it? I honestly don't have the answer to this, and I think the nuance and line between doing it in an ethical way and being hypocritical is very hard to define. It might even be down to a case by case and maybe so subjective this whole dilemma can never be truly answered. But I like to think we can have the power to discern between a game that deserves being promoted and a game that does not. Look, I praised so many games on my channel and genuinely praised them, so obviously I would love if some of these devs would reach up to me and say, hey, we saw how much you like our game, or maybe, hey, we saw you are in the genre, we would like you to talk about our game, would you be willing to do so? And they offered me money. Obviously I would love to do so, obviously with the conditions that I could talk about the negatives if I see some bugs, performance issues and stuff like that, because I know some of these things are done in a way that the reviewers or critics aren't allowed to speak their mind about bugs. They sign NDAs and stuff like that. Obviously, again, I'm considering a situation where you are allowed to do that. If you are not allowed to speak your mind, that alone obviously goes against what I'm discussing here, but what I'm discussing is when you are fully allowed to speak your mind, if that ever exists. Remember guys, I never took sponsorships or paid promotions, so I don't know if that such a thing ever exists, but this is my idea if I ever get one. You know, this is one thing that we have seen. Some channels claim that they are being promoted, but they say, oh, they allow me to speak my mind, and then they bring some negative feedback about the game. So I don't know, it's up to us to believe. Have we also played the game? Have we identified the same stuff they said? Were they clear? Were they kinda, you know, dismissing some negative stuff so they could paint a little bit more better picture, but also sprinkling some negative reviews here and there so they can pretend it was not everything just so positive? It's really hard to define unless you know you are watching that guy for a long time, you know more of their content, and you can pinpoint if they are lying or not. But even then, it's still a lot of assumptions and guesswork, right? Maybe the biggest problem with Legendary Drops promotion, as Not Malcolm points out, is that he uses discourses based on simple fallacies like, oh, West developers bad, we East developers good. We all know why he's saying that there is more nuance to that argument, but that is also based on fallacy. And when he uses that discourse on his video, he's clearly using that to elevate the game he's promoting. So Is that shady? Is that not honest? You know, as I said, there are some valid criticisms on Not Malcolm video. I also think you guys should watch it, watch the original video, watch Legendary Drops video. I watch both of them. I think they're both great creators, they are both criticizing the gaming industry. Again, as I was saying, I personally believe that if someone is being honest about their situation and enjoying the game, and they also always voice their negative opinions about that, obviously this might just be an imaginary situation in my mind, that this never happens in the real world. But this is a situation I believe it's fair, you know, if that person is being honest. I believe that paid promotions and trips, visits, stuff like that is okay, as long as that person is being honest and upfront about that promotion. Obviously, you know, be super clear about it, have it in the video description, start the video by telling everybody it's a paid promotion. And because, you know, content creators need to earn money, and if they can earn money by actually being honest and talking about good products, I think this is a healthy relationship the industry can have. And as I said before, it may be very hard to define if someone is being honest or not. There is a lot of subjectivity, and I don't mean like, oh, everything is subjective. No, there is objectivity to truth, you know? Someone can literally lie about something, but for us to perceive if they are lying, to accurately judge if they are lying or not, is a little bit harder and might be considered subjective, especially if maybe we know a creator for a long time and we know, oh my god, he's clearly lying. But maybe some new person who doesn't know that creator yet, to him it won't seem like a lie. So it's very subjective and very hard to define this, and we have to be our own judges on this matter. But that's it, my guys. I wanted to have this discussion with you. I think my position has been made very clear. Ideally, people would be super honest about a game, and if they're being paid or you know, they have their trip paid to somewhere and they are doing a sponsor for a game, everything has to be upfront, and ideally they would be honest about the goods and the bads of a game, and even the neutral opinions, like, oh, okay, this game has fishing, but I didn't enjoy the fishing, or I didn't even engage with the fishing because it's not my cup of tea. Ideally, we would live in a world where that happens. Obviously, we know every person is different, everybody will approach this differently, and I want to hear your opinion, guys, about it. I want to know what you think about the subject. I want to know if you think that game critics can do paid promotions. If you don't believe in any ad, if anything needs promotion at all, it is already not worth even trying it out. Do you believe there can be a healthy relationship between the viewer, the content creator, and the game which that content creator is trying to promote? Do you think it is better when people promote things I'm sorry. Do you think it's better if people promote things outside of their market and niche? So if I'm a game critic, am I allowed to promote, you know, beauty products, and vice versa? If I'm a beauty content creator, should I just go and promote games instead, so I don't have a conflict of interest in the products I'm promoting to my audience? It's a very hard and complicated question. I'm guessing everybody has a different opinion about it. I'm very curious to hear your opinion on this subject, guys, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you very much, and bye bye.